same old, you know, like, comment, subscribe. I might actually put this bit at the beginning of the video or mix it a bit further down. Or, you know what I'm thinking about doing is doing like an intro of this is what we're going to make. Now let's make it sort of thing. But Robert Burns is your brother's mother's brother. Bob's your uncle. Rabbi Burns is your uncle. You know, I'm Scotland. You can always use tongs, to be fair. You haven't got to use a spatula and be a dick like I am. Wrong shaped implement to scrape out a bowl with, really, isn't it? 1 haggis is a unit of measurement. I think I've learned to get all this done by the time I press record, but no. Alright, peeps. Since you liked the mince on toast video so much, put the link up there. It's like traditionally quite a cheap, cheerful, poor person's dinner. Zhuzhed up and turned a bit fancy. I thought I'd do something a bit similar. So, I'm going to do a corned beef hash, except it's not going to be corned beef. It's going to be haggis and scallops. So, haggis, I really quite like haggis, and because it's Burns night, it was a couple of days ago. It's all over the place at the moment. To be fair, Sainsbury's generally usually has haggis in there. I quite like haggis. If you've never had haggis, it's worth trying. It's kind of similar. It's got a similar sort of flavour profile and texture to black pudding. It's a bit crumblier and a bit spicier, pepperier. But that's fine by me. I like that. These unfortunately are not Scottish or British even scallops. They're frozen South American. Couldn't find fresh from anywhere around here or frozen from anywhere around here. And then we've got there's 2 or 3 Maris Pipers or King Edwards. Can't remember what they are. Good roasting, frying potatoes. Got 2 or 3 of them chopped up and parboiled. Just boiled them in some salty water for like 10 minutes, I think, just until like you can just a little bit of resistance to a knife. You don't want to like turn it ready to make mash. So there's 2 or 3 of them. Half a haggis. I think a haggis is a standard size. I think like 1 haggis is a unit of measurement. Got about as much haggis as we have potato. Maybe a bit more potato there, but and roughly by size, again, the same amount of scallops. I've also got 2 small, well, it's a medium onion's worth of onion, thinly sliced. I'm using red, any onion will do, or shallots, even leek could be fine. And then also there's 2 smallish cloves of garlic in there, minced up, crushed, whatever you want to do to them. Leave that the garlic. You don't want to put loads of garlic in this because you're going to quickly start making it garlicky. You don't really want it garlicky. And I've also got a large-ish handful of shredded cabbage. I've also got a load of parsley that we're going to whack in there at the end, and I'll chop that up in a minute. But thinly sliced, shredded, whatever. So, essentially, everything's prepped. We're just going to, it's a matter of getting it in a pan, cooking it off for a bit, putting the next thing in the pan, cooking it off for a bit. So, we get the pan up. Don't want it rocket hot. Medium, low, because we don't want to start burning stuff and overcooking stuff. We're going to go in there with a healthy, or not as the case may be, glug of olive oil. Any oil will do. Get that up to a little bit of heat, and then once that's warm, we're going to chuck in our potatoes, start frying up our potatoes for a bit. Then we're going to go in with the onions and the cabbage, haggis. Then in with the cabbage, then in with the scallops. What we might do, don't know yet, I don't know how crowded this pan's going to be. I might cook the scallops separately in another frying pan, just because they are a bit delicate, then toss them in at the end. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. We'll do that together. We'll be there for each other when it comes to cooking the scallops. So yeah, in with our potatoes. Try not to splash hot oil everywhere. Just let them, give them a bit of a toss up in the oil. So just going to leave them for a few seconds, a few minutes, just to let them start crisp up a little bit, and then we'll be right back. Right, got a bit of colour on those potatoes, so now we're going to go in with our haggis, and we're going in with the onions and the garlic as well at the same time. You might want to drizzle more oil if you didn't put that much in, just because those potatoes probably would have soaked up a fair bit. You may notice we've held off salting. That's because it's probably going to be a load of salt in the haggis, and I want to make sure we don't over salt it whilst we're cooking it. So I boiled potatoes in some lightly salted water, just because it's the only way of like really getting seasoned the whole way through. And we probably season the scallops when we come to fry them. But the overall dish, a fair bit of salt is probably going to leach out of that haggis into the dish overall, so you just want to be careful. We can taste it at the end, give it a go then and see what it's like then. So still just a relatively gentle heat. I've got this, it's my biggest burner, but I've got it on low. So you don't want to absolutely go crack at it because haggis will start to break up. It's probably going to break up a fair bit as we cook this anyway. We do kind of want it to, in some way, distribute itself amongst it all. But you don't want to turn it to mush. Same with the potato as well, to be fair. And also, much like when you brown anything off, you kind of want to leave it to sort of sit for a little bit, just to get a bit of a crust on the bottom. Especially with a corned beef hash. Well, not corned beef hash. I did do a corned beef hash video up here, but similar technique. You want to leave it, let it develop a bit of a crust on the bottom, and then we'll come back to it and turn it again. So I'll leave that maybe for like another 5 minutes, and I'll come back and have a look at it here and there, keep an eye on it, and see when it's ready to chuck in the cabbage and stuff. I'm calling that probably 5 minutes worth of cooking. Should have some nice crispy bits on the bottom. Give it a mix up, and we're going to go in, chuck in our cabbage. I tend to let it sit on top for a little bit. If there's any really chunky root bits that you've left in there like that, that might not cook all that well. I want to pull that out. I'm just going to leave it sat on top for a little bit, just let it wilt a bit. Then once it started to wilt, we can stir it through. If you start trying to stir it through right now, I find out it just flies everywhere and it pings other stuff out of the pan. But give it a sec to wilt down a bit, then we can start mixing it through. What we're also going to do is, I am going to cook the scallops in a separate pan. Because you want a good contact with the pan with the scallops so you can get that nice sear on it. There's too much going on in that pan at the moment. Also, I figured if you never cook scallops, be quite a good introduction. So I've got another pan on the go that was just warming up, and I'm going to melt some butter in there because you've got to fry scallops in butter. Once the scallops are done, we're done. So we're going to wait for the cabbage to be almost cooked before we kick those off though. In the meantime, the last little bit of thing that I'm going to prep is I'm just going to chop this parsley up. Might as well take the old lot of the top, and I'm just gonna clunk the whole lot up. Any ridiculously big stalks like that you might want to get rid of, but for the most part this bunch isn't too bad. We want a load of this freshness because haggis, fried potatoes and cabbage isn't particularly light, so I like to whack a load of parsley through it just to kind of freshen it all up. Hasn't got to be ridiculously well minced, diced, chopped, whatever. Just want a rustic style, it's fine. So right, cabbage has wilted down a little bit now, it's lost its bit of its spring, so we're just gonna get that all in amongst it as well. If you don't like cabbage, feel free to leave it out. I do think this helps with having some greens in it though. If you'd rather use cow, it's a big chunk of cabbage in, get rid of that. If you'd rather use cow, winter greens, spinach would work. Anything like that. So just gonna let that cabbage cook through, and we'll be pretty much done. Once that's almost there, we're gonna quickly sear off our scallops. But scallops are one of those sort of things, if you never cooked them before, they don't take very long and they overcook really easily. So they're very much a do it when it's ready to go sort of thing. Right, cabbage is pretty much already there. That is essentially edible right now. We've got our pan with our melted butter in it. We're just gonna turn it up a little bit. We want that butter to start getting a bit foamy. I'm going to quickly dump these scallops out into a clean tea towel just to dry them off, only because they're still wet from where they've been defrosted. We want to get a nice little bit of colour on these, and obviously that water is going to stop them from colouring. There's nice big scallops. You can buy any size scallop you want. Scallops are a bit expensive, they are a bit of a treat. I think there's nothing wrong with treating yourself every now and again though. If you don't like scallops, you can do this without scallops, just have the haggis hash. That's fine, that's still going to be really nice. You could, if you want to kind of replicate this without using scallop, maybe go for, tell you what would be nice, like some smoked mackerel or some smoked haddock. Cook that off and turn that through that as well. So what we're going to do is, if you never cooked scallops before, it won't take very long at all. We're just going to give them a very light seasoning salt. Up high, give it a good distribution. You don't want to spot treat them all individually, just give it a good whack all over the lot. And then we're going to, one side down in the pan. So they have like a top and a bottom, kind of like a, I can't think of what to explain it as, almost like a burger I suppose. Get that, good bit of contact with the pan. You want to be careful of hot spots in the pan though, because if the pan's hotter in one part than it is on the other, you're going to end up with some getting cooked a bit quicker than the others. You quite often will get little odds and ends like that. I'm just going to chuck these straight in this pan, just because looking after them in that pan's going to be a pain in the arse. You can, if you get fresh scallops, sometimes they'll have the roe in it, like a big, like a yellow thing. I really like that part, but some people don't. It's an acquired taste for some, so you might want to take that off. That first one went in the pan. I'm just going to have a little peek at it. Not quite there, so. You do want to use quite a high heat because you want to cook these quickly before they, almost like cooking a steak, you want a high heat, get a nice sear on it. Give them a little bit of jiggle here and there just so everyone gets a fair amount of butter. Get in there. It's only like a minute so far. Little swirl, make sure they've all got a kiss of butter. Let's the little butchers. See where we're at. There you go. You see, starting to get a nice little sear on there. Although not all of them are ready yet, so we're just going to let them go a little bit further. Turning them over when they're nicely seared. Ow. You can always use tongs, to be fair. You haven't got to use a spatula and be a dick like I am. I just want to another minute or two, let the other side of that sear off. Don't forget to keep an eye on the rest of your hash. Right, once that butter's starting to brown and all your scallops are nicely seared on both sides, I'm going to dump the whole lot in this pan, butter and all, because you know that butter's going to be nice brown butter. All tasty as sin. Is that a saying, or have I just made that up? And as well as our parsley. And literally, if you've got a pan with a proper handle, you can just toss to combine. Otherwise, giving it a stir through with your spatula is not a problem. A little sort of like a turn and a fold almost. Wipe the heat off because that's good to go. Serve her up. Make sure everyone gets a bit of scallop, a bit of haggis, a bit of tatty. And Robert Burns is your brother's mother's brother. Bob's your uncle. Rabbi Burns is your uncle. You know, I'm Scotland. Not particularly healthy. Super comforting. It's a nice mix. I mean, haggis isn't particularly expensive. Scallops, haggis and scallops, they're just a treat. But it's taking like a whole new, taking a hash up to a whole new level. Breakfast, brunch, lunch, dinner, ticks any of the boxes. You can make it out of, well, you're probably not going to have leftover scallops or haggis, but you know what I mean. You can use like leftover greens. If you want to chuck some carrots in there or peas, anything can go in there. It's a hash, you know. It's clues in the title. Same old, you know. Like, comment, subscribe. I might actually put this bit at the beginning of the video or mix it a bit further down. Or, you know what I'm thinking about doing is doing like an intro of this is what we're going to make. Now let's make it sort of thing. But I think that's kind of like some other people's style. So, you know, I'll stick to what I know. But yeah, like, comment and subscribe, please. Give us a like, give us a share as well on whatever social medias you use. It's really handy because that's the #1 way to get out and about. Make it, let us know. If you've got any other suggestions for like poorer sort of meals that I can zhuzh up, I've got a few ideas. But we'll see. Yeah, be good. Enjoy yourselves. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And I'll see you when I see you. Hello.